and the countless other cases going all the way back to 1984 with Eleanor Bumpers. Kicking doors down at 4 o'clock in the morning is not the way to serve a warrant. That's the way to cause innocent lives to be taken and to be destroyed. And we're here today to let you know that this is the beginning of a movement for justice, and it's justice for LaToya James. And when I say remember the name, I want you to say LaToya James. Remember the name.
LaToya James.
Remember the name.
LaToya James.
And we're here to seek justice. We're here to do a full and thorough investigation to find out all the facts and the circumstances about this incident, what happened, why did it happen, how did it happen, and who is responsible. And we will not stop until we get all the answers. And we know the investigation is ongoing and is relatively new. No, we're not rushing to judgment, but we are rushing to justice.
That's right.
We want to find out what happened and why it happened. And the entire world needs to know this. They need to get behind this. They need to understand that the voices need to be heard so that these kinds of things don't continue to happen. The first time I could understand. The second time I shake my head. The third time I throw my hands up. Why is this still happening? Policing is supposed to be something that we can look forward to for protection and for service. We should not be in fear in our homes at 4 o'clock in the morning. God forbid, there's a knock at the door and you can't even get out of your bed as fast as it took for this woman to lose her life.
That's right.
That she had no time. There was no time to respond. That's the issue. The no-knock warrant or the warrant with no time to respond. You must have time to comply. You must have time to understand what's happening at 4 o'clock in the morning. Who can wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning? Who can be ready at 4 o'clock in the morning for a knock and somebody busting in your door in 1 second flat? Guns blazing. That's not justice. That's not law enforcement. I don't know what that is. That's terrorism. This must stop. And this is the beginning. We will take every legal action possible to make sure that LaToya James is remembered and that her family gets justice. Remember the name?
LaToya James.
Remember the name?
LaToya James.
Thank you.
I think we after justice, is that right?
Yes.
Are we after justice?
Yes.
What do we want?
Justice.
And when do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
And when do we want it?
Now.
This is not a happy day. This is not a happy day at all. I'm not happy to be here. It's especially here in Camden County. We, and Attorney Green and I, were here and on behalf of Black Lawyers for Justice for Tony Green. Tony Green was an unarmed black man who was killed by Zachariah Presley here in 2018. And when the trial came for the citizens of this county to enact justice on Zachariah Presley, they failed to do so. And this county failed to adequately prosecute Zachariah Presley for the shooting of unarmed Tony Green. That was wrong.
Yeah.
That was wrong. And this county does not play by the rules. And is there a problem with policing in this county?
Yes.
Has it been a problem?
Yes.
Is it a problem?
Yes.
And do you fear it will be a problem?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So this is the people of this county, black people of this county. Now, if LaToya James should be alive. That's the main point. She should be alive. And this warrant, we have serious problems with. We have serious problems with this warrant. The Supreme Court of the United States of America says that there are 3 steps that must be taken when executing a search warrant. That you must knock, you must announce yourself, and you must allow for the person that the search warrant is being served against to refuse to open the door, or to let you know whether or not he's going to open the door or he refuses to open the door. It takes time to see whether the person is going to comply. Okay, so once again, Supreme Court says knock, announce, and get a refusal before you can come rushing in. Okay, so in this case, we've watched the body cam video. And although we have a problem with the fact that there's only one body cam, that's a problem, only one body cam, that's a procedural problem. The one body camera shows very rapid actions which make this search warrant equivalent of a no-knock warrant. There's no difference between the way this search warrant was served and a no-knock warrant, because as soon as they knock, they come rushing in to the house, and Miss James is shot. And if the procedures would have been followed the way they should have, and if they would have waited, then this could have been avoided. So I agree with Attorney Green. This case looks just like the Breonna Taylor case. This is a case of an unarmed black woman being shot during a botched or a bogus search warrant on this facility and on this house, and it didn't have to happen, okay? And this case, to me, is directly analogous to the Breonna Taylor case in Kentucky. The Camden County Police, I looked in the police procedures manual. We have their manuals. We have their general orders. It appears that they have failed to adequately address how to carry out search warrants in this county. It appears that their procedures are lacking, that their general orders are non-existent, and that the officers who are serving criminal search warrants have no real rules, regulations, oversight, or monitoring, and that's the reason that LaToya is not with us today. It is that failure to train, failure to supervise, failure to tell a reasonable officer and to train them how to reasonably conduct that search warrant is the reason why you have Miss James not here with us today, and her family here is grieving. The activists are here grieving. I want to thank Pastor Knight here. And Pastor Knight has had to perform too many funerals here in this city, too many funerals in this county relating to police killings, and let's everybody give him a hand for being just a stand-up pastor, who you're going to hear from in just a moment. And you're going to hear from the grandmother, Miss Betty Jean. You're going to hear from her. Grandmother of the daughter of LaToya. There's only the grandmother and the daughter here now, but this is LaToya's mom who's going to come on here next to explain to you how she feels about this. Okay, so once again, we're here to denounce this shooting. We're here to denounce the killing as being unnecessary. We're being here to denounce the way that the Camden County Police Department is carrying out their search warrants and their procedures. And lastly, they say it was an exchange of gunfire, and there's going to be a full investigation as to who shot first. Because it may come out that the police are the ones that shot Miss LaToya first before anything else happened. We'll wait to see how the investigation proceeds. What I want to do to you now is I want you to hear from Miss Betty Jean, LaToya's mom, who's suffering. I want you to be patient with her. But she has to be heard. The victim's impact has to be heard.
I don't know what to say. They took my baby. They took her life, and then they took her dignity, and they took her from me. And I want to know why. She didn't deserve this. She was not a bad person. She was the sweetest person you ever wanted to meet. And they took her from me. I want her back so bad. I don't know what else to say. I just want her back.
Okay, now I want you to hear from Reverend Mack Knight, who was very instrumental in alerting us to this, because like I said before, this case has not gotten the attention that it needs, and that's going to change today. And so, Reverend Knight, you have a few words you want to say?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Attorney Green. Thank you, Attorney Shabazz. Thank you to this family, to the James family. We've been right there with them from day one, and we'll be there with them until even after this is gone. And as Attorney Shabazz said, this has been going on too much. And Attorney Green said, first time, maybe I could understand. Second time, I'm scratching my head and wondering. Third time, my hands up, like, how much more does it take? How many more unarmed black people does it take to die in America by the hands of those who are hired to protect and serve? But yet they chase, they bust in doors at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they kill. So the narrative needs to be changed. certainly in our community. We've seen this often too many times in Camden County. And so I think that practices, policies, and procedures needs to be dealt with, looked at, changed immediately. And I often ask, and I even asked the sheriff and those that was involved, if you knew the climate that's going on in America now, and you knew you were going to serve a botched warrant to a black home, why not make sure that you dot every I and cross every T to make sure that we're not another county that is on the news for this type of atrocity? But yet they did not. So something needs to be changed in our county, in every city police department in Camden County, the way they police as it relates to people of color. We're tired of hashtagging black names. We're tired of saying their names. They should be here to say their own names. And so until we change the narrative and change the way they view us, being black is not a crime. So that needs to change. When you see me, I should not be an immediate threat. LaToya James was not a threat to the Camden County Sheriff's Office, but yet her life was taken. So until we continue to say no justice, no peace. Say her name.
LaToya James.
Okay, so once again, we're saying that LaToya James was no threat to the officers who shot her on this day. That's our clear statement, that she was no threat, and there was no justifiable reason to shoot her.
Any questions?
The video, the body camera video, we don't really see much in that video, but I think you hear about 3 really quick knocks and then you see them enter. So is it because, you know, it was a very quick knocking and they didn't have much time, that's why, you know, you think this was a no-knock warrant?
Right. The issue is that we understand the importance of notice. Like Mr. Shabazz said, the Supreme Court says I knock, you refuse, and then I can enter. And there's exceptions to that. But in this case, a no-knock warrant is you bust the door and catch them by surprise for various reasons. Nothing that we have seen so far tells us that there was such a reason that existed here. Again, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. The house is located in a relatively remote location in terms of, you know, the proximity to other homes. And you saw that. Who could answer a door that fast? Within less than 1 second, the door was open and guns were blazing. So at the end of the day, you know, folks have a right to protect themselves. And if somebody kicked in my door at 4 in the morning, my first reaction is going to be, oh no, this is an intruder. Right. But again, it wasn't a boom, 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 police open up. Wait at least not even 5 seconds. They didn't even wait 5 whole seconds. I think it was a split-second decision. Boom, the door is open, innocent woman shot and killed. And that's what happens when you don't take the time to execute these warrants properly. So our view is whether it was a no-knock warrant on paper or not, it was executed in that manner, and that's what the root of the problem is.
And is there any indication as to where that first shot may have come from? Have you seen any other evidence that's possibly out there, any other videos or anything? No,
we haven't seen any other videos, but the point we did make earlier was that it's remarkable, especially in this day and age, executing a high, you know, profile warrant of that type in the middle of the night with that many officers. The only one that had a camera had a shield in front of it blocking the view. Right. So that by itself is a problem. That's an issue. You don't go out to perform an official function without all your proper equipment. Why is the only person with a camera the one with the shield so you can't see what they're seeing? That's one of the biggest questions we have. So as of right now, we're being told that there is no other video, but frankly, we just don't believe that. And if that is true, therein lies the problem.
I know GBI said that there is about 4 hours worth of video, and the video that they did release is only about 3.5 minutes, or a little over 3 minutes.
Right.
So are y'all calling to release the entire video?
Well, honestly, I think at the point where the video is after the incident, where the video begins, to the extent that the video is after the incident, there are other issues. For example, the fact that LaToya James, as we understood, her body was left to lay on the ground for multiple hours, as many as 11 hours. That could play out in the video as to why that happened and what kind of attention that she was given. Did they seek to do any sort of resuscitation? Was there any medical attention given to her? These kinds of things would probably come out in that video. But with respect to the no-knock warrant, as we see it, I don't know that there's going to be anything in that 3 hours that will help that piece of it, unless if remarkably other angles show up. And then you'll see there were other cameras.
But the answer is yes. We want that video. We want the whole video, and we want it now. Do we want that video?
Yes.
We want all the evidence we can get, and we want it now. And we're going to pursue it vigorously.
Do you know if any other officers or deputies were wearing body cameras at that time?
According to what we were told by the GBI, they were saying that was the only body camera that we have. They didn't specifically say no one was wearing a camera, but they said that's the only video that they have. And again, we need to figure out what that actually means.
And they want to know, we're not sure that the officers provided the necessary medical treatment that they were supposed to timely, and we want to know why LaToya was left to lie on that ground for 11 hours, disgracing her dignity and deeply troubling her family beyond the way they've been troubling. I find no reason for her to be on that ground in that house for 11 hours, and we want to know what kind of medical attention was rendered to her.
And how's Mr. Brown doing, Marshawn Brown? How's he?
He's in the hospital as far as we know at this point.
Have you spoken to him?
No comment.
Question. So I want to get to what the pastor was talking about, because just to get a little bit off the incident that happened, and I want to send my condolences to you all.
Appreciate
First off, let's talk about from lawyer aspect and as well as Reverend as well. I'm looking at some stuff talking about no-knock warrants, because I'm very familiar with no-knock warrants being from Atlanta. When I was a teenager, there was a grandmother who was killed. She was in her home by herself, and she was shot and killed by police officers. For
Hell no
no-knock
bumpers.
warrant. Yeah.
Right, that's right.
No, you're
So-
talking about Miss Clark, 75-year-old
See, that's what I'm saying. That's
Catherine,
the name.
yeah,
Catherine
Okay.
Johnson.
Catherine
Yeah.
Johnston,
Catherine
2006
Johnson.
Atlanta,
Yep.
75 shots.
Yes, sir. 75.
And speaking of that, that happened when I was a teenager. So now that I'm looking back, I'm looking at some current laws, and this is coming from Georgia because you spoke about policy. I want to hear y'all's opinion about the policy. So in 2015, there was a no-knock warrant that went up from the Senate, and it didn't get passed. There was another one in 2020, so we're talking 5 years later. There still hasn't been anything passed due to no-knock warrants. Policy is what gets changed. So what type of impact do we need to see from the community to get these policies forward?
Well, I mean, it begins with activism. It begins with elections. It begins with getting the right people in the political positions to do the will of the people, because that's what they're supposed to do. And it's unfortunate and tragic that situations like this is what it takes to get the attention of the lawmakers to put the laws in place that make these kinds of things illegal. But again, it's not so much the law, because there is, to my knowledge, there's no law against no-knock warrants, and this wasn't, from what we see, a technical no-knock warrant, but what it was an ineffectively executed warrant that rose to the level of a no-knock warrant against the Supreme Court precedent of the United States. Again, you cannot knock on someone's door and then bust in before they have a chance to even answer the door.
I see this sheriff's department is no different than the Hennepin County and Minneapolis Police Department. And what's been happening to them and what's being exposed that Minneapolis police have been doing in Minneapolis. It's the same thing right down here in Camden County. It's got to change. Many of these activists who are here, if you talk to them privately, they will tell you that they have almost given up hope on any type of reforms or legislative or electoral changes that would bring relief to these problems. Because many of these activists who travel here from other states, unfortunately and tragically, have witnessed this over and over and over again. Now, I know from us operating in Camden County here that change must come, but you will have a hard time convincing these activists that it would come by normal means. They're upset. The family's upset, and they don't want to hear the same answers. And so I can't promise change will come here, but I can promise you that we are going to fight like hell to bring it, and not in the normal, just traditional ways, through lawsuits. And of course we will pursue that. Lawsuits, and there are other measures. I mean, some have called, they've said it in the press, that that this county needs to come under federal investigation for its police shootings.
Yes, sir.
If Joe Biden and their Department of Justice is serious, then an immediate investigation must come upon this police department for pattern and practices of the violation of the constitutional and human rights of the citizens of this county. Okay, that's what needs to happen. That's what is being asked, and hopefully that will happen. I also just want to thank the other activists some who've traveled here from around this county, but some from Florida and other states who are helping. I want to thank King J and Crystal and Ahmad. Let's give all the activists, Brother Mikhail Muhammad and the others, because they be here fighting. Let's give them a hand, please. They're here with Reverend. They'll be here with Reverend Knight, and they are committed to this cause, and they're out in the streets of Elizabeth City and these other cities and these other areas. And from what they're telling me, that they're going to be here pursuing justice for LaToya.
Have you obtained a copy of that warrant or seen what was allegedly or what was alleged as being the contents of that?
We have not seen the warrant, but we are in the process of seeking to get a copy of it. We expect to have a copy as early as today, but we don't have it just yet.
And I have a question as far as the policy with the cameras. Does Georgia itself as a state have a policy when it comes to the departments wearing the body cameras, or is that usually left up to a specific department?
To my knowledge, it's on a department basis. I don't know of any state law that requires body cams. And again, it's one of those things where to the extent that they have them, they should have them. So if no one had a body cam, then the issue would be were they required to have them. But if one person had a body cam, everybody should have had a body cam.
Right.
And that's the issue.
So it could basically be, just hypothetically speaking, it could be Camden's policy that as long as they have their, I guess, patrol squad, it could be their policy to only have one requirement to have, and that could just be their policy, right?
That could be the case. And if that's the case, that's a problem.
Okay. Our last statement will be from the local NAACP leader who helped us put this together. This is Mr. Timothy Bessett, NAACP local leader here in Camden County.
Again, we're here once again. I'd just like to say that we stand in support of this family in this community. There's been several issues that has been brought out related to this warrant, and we want answers. We demand answers. There are several things that took place that we as a community, we as the NAACP, we need answers. This sheriff department advertised that their officers wear body cameras. Every one of the officers wear body cameras. They have billboards saying the officers wear body cameras. But this situation, only one officer was wearing a body cameras. That's problematic.
That's right.
And so we want the sheriff department to be held accountable for how this warrant was executed, and we're here to stand behind this family, and we're here seeking justice.
That's right.
That's right.
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Say her name.
LaToya James!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Do we want change?
Yes!
We must unite and demand change against this wicked, repressive system of injustice against the black community.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
One last question. What's next? Do y'all plan to file any lawsuits against the sheriff's office?
Well, the next step is a continuing investigation. In order to file a proper lawsuit, you have to have all the facts. And so this is a relatively new situation. We want to shed as much light on it as possible so that we can get, the kind of groundswell that you need to get the kind of information that we have. Some of the information we're seeking is being withheld. Some of the information that we are seeking is not available. So, the more we can get the grassroots behind it, our own resources behind it, and you to let the world know about it, the better off we will be. But ultimately, we see that if we have the facts for a lawsuit, which we feel that we will, that will be the next step. But right now, we're making sure that the family has everything that they need to make sure that LaToya's child is taken care of and that everything goes well from there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Say her name.
LaToya James!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
This one?